How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Pete's Carport, and welcome to another video featuring Dr. Dre, my 1995 Mercedes S500 W140. And this video is going to be about the stock stereo system that is the Becker head unit and the Bose amp and speakers. Not going to go into extreme detail, but kind of explain to you some of these simple problems or non-simple problems that can go wrong with these stereo systems. So main thing is these amps have a tendency to go bad and stop sending signals to the speakers. So if you're experiencing no sound, but you've checked your radio and your radio seems great, most of the time it's going to be this amp, which is located in the trunk behind this paneling here. Very simple to take off. Two 8mm bolts here, or nuts here, and then you pull it forward. It's going to slide off there. There is a wire harness down here that you push in on this little tab. I think it's on the back side. And then you pull it down, so it'll kind of pull down and out like that. I've got two other amps sitting up here. This is the one that was not working in the car, and I thought maybe it was the head unit, so I tried out a new head unit, and all I was getting was my left speaker. Everything else was crackling. The rear and the right side did not work at all. Only the front driver's speaker was working, and it was very poor. So I tried changing out the head unit at first, still the same issue. So I pulled this amp out, and it looks really, really nice. I cleaned it out with some electrical cleaner, let it dry, plugged it back in, still the same issue. Now I've got a parts car over there, and that trunk has been open for years and it is filled with water. So I did not expect that amp to work, but I said, you know what, let me go ahead and pull it out anyways. You can see how nasty this thing looks. It works perfect. So now I've got a working stereo system, and we're gonna jump inside and take a look at the Becker head unit. I can explain some things on that as well. Now, these amps can be taken apart and fixed, but I do not recommend it unless you have experience in electronics, because they're very delicate. There's a lot to take off before getting this board out, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you're gonna be lost anyway. So I don't recommend it. Now, Victor from Restore Your Mercedes has videos on that. He's very good at taking these apart. He knows a lot about these electronics. So if you do want to attempt it, I highly suggest starting there and just take your time taking this thing apart. You could always do what I did, and that's trying to clean this down with some electrical cleaner. If you've got some corrosion on the board, that could fix your problem. Did not resolve my issue, so there's probably something deeper than that. And I'm moving on. I got the working amp in there, and I'm satisfied with that, so I'm not even going to attempt to fix this one. Now, this here happens to be an R129 amp and sub box. So I was going to try to use this, and I actually did, but I realized this is a smaller amp here. Ironically, has the exact same plug on it, if you look there, but it did not send any signal to the rear speakers, and my guess is because it doesn't have the transmission for that. What it has is a separate plug right here that goes to this little base box here, and I suppose that's the big difference between these two amps. Is this is probably just front speakers and your rear box here, whereas this one runs the entire thing. So I thought that might work because it was the same plug, but it did not. Now let's go ahead and jump inside the car. We'll take a look at one of the head units, because I know a lot of you guys have sent me messages on the radio codes, because that's a very common thing. If you remove your battery for any extended time, or the battery dies or anything like that, you're going to need the radio code to get this radio back up and running. So in order to get that radio code, you've got to remove the radio. You want to have these tools right here. You can order these online. I'll leave a link. I tried to find some at an auto parts store, but couldn't find any that had them, but it is a pretty common removal tool. You can definitely get them on Amazon, and they ship out pretty quick. I got mine the next day. But these slide into this part right here, like so. I think it actually goes this direction here, and that'll pop the radio loose, and then you can slide the entire radio out. Once you have the radio out, to get the code, you're going to have to get your model number and serial number located right there. There are quite a few websites that you can input that in, and you'll get the radio code immediately. I actually just tested it out. It worked. I will leave a link to the one that I use, but make sure you do your research. You can just Google search Becker radio codes, and you'll see there's a ton of websites that will allow you to pay a small fee and get your radio code. Or you can go to the local Mercedes dealership. I don't know if you can call and get it. I've heard people have success with that, but I think you have to show your title in order for you to get the radio code. So you can try that out as well. So once you have the radio code, you input it with these numbers right here, and then I just hit like AM, FM, and it will come right to the radio. So it'll come right back up and work. Now, one other major flaw with this radio is the volume knob here. These things tend to disintegrate over time, just kind of crumble in your hand, but they are very cheap to replace and very easy to replace. The other major thing that I've seen across the board, and I get messages all the time, is the volume jumping around or not even going up and down at all. This happens because of dirt getting into this area, and I found a solution to this. It works almost every time. Now, I've had some radios where I couldn't get this volume knob to work, but this one was jumping around and I did get it to work again. What you want to do is take off your volume knob there. Next, you want to remove your negative battery cable to disable any power going to the radio. Go ahead and pick yourself up a can of CRC electrical cleaner. You can get this at any auto parts store. Then you want to spray your electrical cleaner all up in where that knob is. And if you have an air gun or an air duster, try to blow it out or at least let it dry for an extended period of time. You do not want that to be wet in there when you turn your radio back on. And that should clean out the dust and debris that is creating the volume jump or no volume up and down at all. I've seen this work a ton of times with many of these radios. So I suggest trying that before just tossing your radio out, because I know a lot of people have that issue. Outside of that, these radios are really nice. Sometimes you have issues with the tape deck here, but what's really cool about having the tape deck here, and if you're like me and you like the look and sound of the original head unit, you can now buy a Bluetooth tape adapter that has a Bluetooth transmitter in it, so you can play from your phone your music and also talk on it. So similar to what an FM transmitter would do without that clunky mess. So an FM transmitter would typically plug into a cigarette adapter. The signals are usually poor, and that's what most people are doing. So I'm going to go ahead and do a review on a couple of them, or if I find one that's really good, I'll show you guys a video on that and I'll recommend it, leave you guys links, and that'll be here in an upcoming video soon. Now, let me know in the comments anything I missed on these Becker head units or Bose system in general, or if you guys have any questions about your radio, your system. Like always, hit me up on Instagram. That is the easiest way to get a hold of me. I would love to help you guys out if I can. I have a lot of spare parts too, so if you do need something, don't hesitate to reach out. I can probably figure out something for you, or at least send you a link to something that I've bought before. You guys have an awesome day, a blessed week, and I'll catch you on the next video.